So to give us a clear-eyed view of where customer experience stands today and how AI is increasingly influencing outcomes across CX, cloud, cybersecurity, and advanced networking, I am excited to welcome Sam Nelson, Vice President of CX, Meagan Thai, Director of Contact Center and UC Solutions, Mikey B, who's also been in chat. He is our Solution Architect East of UC and CC, and Brent Wilford, Solutions Architect of CX. Thank you all for being here today. I am super excited to hear your presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Cass. Really appreciate the handoff there. Everybody, great to see y'all. So you see Meagan on the call. We've got Mikey B. He is virtual traveling, as we all do. So folks, chime in on the chat. You also saw Mr. Brent Wilford on there. So wanted to very quickly announce that Brent has joined us as a CX solution architect. He is based in Colorado, and he is shadowing the call currently, as this, I believe, is his second week on the roll. So that said, we will roll right into this. Chandler, let's make sure I am pinned so everybody could see the slides, actually the light board that I have set up as per usual, and we will roll. Now, all of you know, I love to keep this conversational, right? And yes, welcome. I'm watching the chat, so blow it up, people. You know how I do. Make sure that you are engaging in the chat. Meagan, Mikey B, even Brent, if he's on, I will go ahead and throw some stuff in there as we go. Feel free to ask any questions as well, okay? But as Cass mentioned, this is a State of the Union on CX and AI, but very so cleverly thought of a different kind of engaging title here, which is the new Advisor Advantage, AI, CX, and bigger deals, all right? So we're gonna roll right into this, but keep the questions, keep the comments rolling in the chat because we are, let's start with CX, okay. CCaaS market, real quick. All right, we all know that, like, what is it, 80-90% of stats are made up? But anyhow, just to kind of get into like what the trajectory looks like, right? Folks, it's not stopping. So that's the good news, all right? When we look at like contact center as a service market, or even like the UCaaS side of the house, obviously growing. So I know the numbers are a little small, so let me give you some, but as far as the CCaaS market or contact center as a service market, looking at $17 billion by the year 2030. Yeah, we're already hitting the 30s in the 2000s. Unreal. UCaaS, on the other hand, 262 billion by 2030. All right. And something that we're seeing now, yeah, CX to the moon, right? Next that we're seeing too is this maturity model. So this is really interesting, right? And this is kind of how people are approaching what a CX transformation is, but essentially you tend to find clients kind of all across the board when it comes to this graph, right? You have clients who, what we've seen all last year, are ones who are like, yeah, stop the bleeding, right? Like at this point, CX is a liability, our NPS score is low, we got to increase customer satisfaction, right? Then you have the next phase, which is like, okay, your basic stuff, right? Maybe, excuse me, maybe NPS is just below the leaders, right? They're getting there. And then as we continue to move it forward, you now have a lot more customers who are not just optimizing channels, but now raising the bar, right? So CX actually becomes a core component of the overall company brand. They fully incorporate things like omni-channel. They're now looking at customer journey orchestration. For example, what do I mean by that, right? Is let's say you put something in your cart, you're online, and then it continues to bug you until you revisit the cart, right? Oh, hey, Brent Wilford, we could see you on video. Feel free to turn it off if you want to, no big deal, you can totally stay on. But yeah, really short innovation cycles. They're wanting to move things forward pretty quickly, right? And just continuing to improve projects all around. So lots and lots of companies now raising the bar as they've taken this journey on CX. So let's talk about what's changed, okay? So when you think about CX, it's now tied to things like revenue retention, right? The cost to serve, brand trust, and lots of boards are asking the questions like, what is the ROI, right? What's actually automated, or what can we automate, or what's still kind of broken? So the bottom line here is that CX is no longer experimental. It's actually becoming much more operational. And right now, Buyers are super overwhelmed, folks. I remember, I think last year around this time, I did a high intensity tech training call on point solutions. Well, guess what? Buyers are totally overwhelmed by them, right? And I knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. So they're overwhelmed by the point solutions. There's a lot of vendor hype out there. And then there's a lot of just really conflicting AI narratives. A really good question in the chat. The time frame from moving to the lower left to the upper right in that maturity model totally depends. Totally depends, but we can make that go a little faster with the resources that you have here at Telarus, which I'll talk about a little later. All right. So underlining this conflicting AI narratives component. I hate to say it, folks, but like whether or not you want to go into the world of artificial intelligence, at this point, you really don't have a way to avoid it. All right. So that brings me to sort of my next point is right now, where is AI being really misunderstood? Now, I oversee, for those of you who don't know, I now oversee the CX and the artificial intelligence practice areas here at Telarus. And what we've found over this last year across all of the technology swim lanes, whether that's cloud, cybersecurity, advanced networking, is that AI is dramatically misunderstood, right? It's really positioned in the market as, oh, look at this really cool AI feature, or look at this bot, or look at this SKU, or hey, you can go buy a box of AI at your nearby big box store, right? No, absolutely not. In fact, AI is a capability layer because when it comes to artificial intelligence, customers need things like clarity, they need orchestration, and most importantly, they need to be able to define the outcomes that they're looking to achieve by implementing artificial intelligence and taking advantage of that capability layer. So folks, this is your opening right here, okay? So let's take a look at sort of a different way to approach AI this year. Now, hang with me, okay? And yeah, we'll be sending this out, so don't worry, you'll have access to this stuff. But this is what I like to call, thanks to Gartner, the AI technology sandwich. All right, so I know it looks a little bit like a burger, but just hang with me here. Imagine it's a sandwich, okay? Or whatever, you do you, boo. All right, so the bottom bread, where it says data centralized here, this is where you've got your organized data, okay? It's clean, it's centralized, because at the end of the day, if your data is super messy or it's scattered, AI is not going to work well. Right? Like this is the foundation piece of the bread. All right. Now the middle, this whole middle part, the blues, this magenta, this orange, all this good stuff. This is where all the thinking happens. This is, you could think of this as like AI plus the guardrails. Okay. So there are really like two kind of big parts here. I'm just like, is that there's AI tools, right? So some AI can be built by IT, it could be built into applications, it can be brought in by employees, right? Like we all know, shadow AI is a thing. And then there's this whole like trust component right here, which is really referring to like the trust and control piece of security, the risk, the governance, but even more importantly, humans still overseeing decisions, right? And so this like big layer right here in the middle is what actually makes sure that AI is useful and it is safe. Now, the top bread, okay, this little component up here, the top bread, it's the data everywhere, right? So this is like the AI that's being used across the entire business, whether that's like sales, support, back office, front office, like you name it. And this is where like the data kind of flows freely so that AI can actually help people do their jobs. So at the end of the day, when you look at this, like as it says here, a conceptual framework for executing artificial intelligence, good AI is really solid data. It is smart and it is something that has really strong trust controls. And if any layer of this is missing, the sandwich, I'm not going to say it falls apart because technically it's still there, but it's a bad sandwich, right? Like you're missing all the components that make this sandwich really, really good. So if I were to put this in front of a customer, for example, I would say something like, look, AI does not fail because the model is bad. Okay. It fails because the data is broken or there's just this no trust kind of framework that you have. Because the reality is that AI touches every single layer. So folks, you hear it from me and hear it now. This is how a 30K deal becomes a 300K transformation, right? You gotta sell it all. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Sam, in 2025, like this looks great moving forward. But what happened again? The 2025 State of the Union, how did people feel, right, about AI over time? So really interesting to uncover this stuff last year. Here's this hype cycle, and you can look this up. You can Google the graph. I thought this was really interesting, but let me kind of walk you through the different phases so that you understand where your customers are thinking, and you'll probably put them into some of these buckets, and then we can kind of help you talk them through to the next bucket, because like you want them here, right? You want them in that last phase of productivity, but this is like the emotional roller coaster they go through. Okay. So this first section here is what we call the innovation trigger. All right. This is where someone sees something and they say, OMG, this is going to change everything, right? This is where like new AI shows up, the media goes wild, executives start panic buying, and expectations are just like super unrealistic, right? Super unrealistic. We've all heard it, right? This is where the phrase AI is going to replace all the jobs by next year. That's where this lives, right here in this area. Okay. Now, as we get to this kind of peak, right? This peak of expansions or expectations, I should say, right? This is where people start saying, wait, this is a little harder than we thought. And they get into this, what we call, or what they call, the trough of disillusionment, not delusionment, disillusionment. And this is typically where a lot of the projects really stall, right? Because they realize after this, like, really yay feeling, then you come down, you're like, oh, right? Is the data's not ready, right? The costs start showing up. They're like, cool, I've implemented all this cool stuff. And then they get hit with like all these fees and they're like, wait, where did this come from? And why is it not broken down and all this stuff? And they realize that AI just does not magically fix a broken process. And this is where a lot of companies just quit, right? And to make it super easy, I put that blue arrow there. People quit right here. Okay. And so some people make it, right? Some people figure it out with the help of people like you and me, right? Tech advisors, this is your time. Everyone, there's a ton of people right here. Remember, I talked about majority of AI projects failing because they're not tied to specific KPIs or not producing ROI. Folks, everyone, the majority of folks are right here in this trough of disillusionment. And if you help them get out of that, then they reach this slope of enlightenment, right? It's oh, okay, now we know what use cases we're actually addressing with artificial intelligence. There's fewer pilots. They've scaled back, right? They're experiencing more production. AI is tied to real workflows that are measurable and which outcomes have been defined. And ROI actually starts to show up here. So essentially what you could think of is AI stops being kind of a science project in this slope of enlightenment. And after that, it's all rainbows and unicorns, right? So in this final phase, if you can get people here, it's where they kind of say, this just works now. This is great. AI is boring, and that's, folks, that's a good thing, right? It's embedded into applications, operations. There's this sense of sort of normalcy where AI starts just delivering really consistent business outcomes, right? Nobody brags about it anymore. It's just the new norm. And so that's this journey that people are taking, and a lot of them are stuck right here. So this is your year, folks. You see it on every meme, every quote after New Year's, right? Like this is, but this is truly your year, right? To get people out of this trough of disillusionment and into this plateau of productivity. All right. So you're thinking, okay, where do you start? Oh, the dreaded question, right? So first, just going to put it out there. This is from our Tech Trends report. Now, if you have not downloaded it, please go download it. You can actually send it off to customers. It's got a lot of really great client-facing information there. So I'm just going to reference this, but again, we'll send it as a follow-up. But here's where organizations are first testing artificial intelligence, and actually where ROI is showing up really quickly. It's in the customer experience. It's in the CX portfolio. Now you can see a whole slew of items here. The blue represents mid-market companies, and the yellow is showing enterprise companies. Now what you're seeing is mid-market folks are catching up very quickly. The enterprise folks were the ones who kind of took the first step, right? They're like, hey, we've got resources and money and let's throw it at it and let's go like invest in stuff. And so they're kind of now in this next iteration. But folks, mid-market, SMB, like these guys say, oh, wow, these big companies are now doing it. Great. It's time to go do it. Let's go do it. Right. And so everyone's looking for how AI can help from a data analytics standpoint, AI driven quality management, quality assurance, real-time agent assist. For example, if I am a customer service rep helping someone on the phone and the customer starts talking about something, right? Something pops up automatically. That little bot starts feeding me information on how to best help that customer. So I do not have to say, hey, I'll be right back, right? No. It's all there in real time. It's helping that agent. Yes, it is real, folks. It's been around for some time now, but now it's at the forefront of all these conversations, right? And so this is where you can start very, very quickly and very, very easily. Deployments are really, really quick. But doing the responsible thing here as head of AI now, right, is you have to realize one thing, that CX is the front door, but it's not the whole house. All right, it's not the whole house. Buyers are connecting, okay, and they're connecting these things. So think like CX insights. They're like, oh, okay, well, that's a great conversation into like cloud optimization, right? The data, great. Well, let's talk about the security piece, right? I'm sure the majority of you are like, cool, let me just scan this QR code and it's all good. But do you actually know what happens when you scan the QR code? Totally guilty here, right? So they're thinking from a security standpoint. It's a really easy shift to having that conversation. And most importantly, network performance. Folks, do not forget, y'all saw Graham Scott on the hit call the other day, right? Is network performance directly impacts customer satisfaction. Guess what, right? Poor call quality, folks, and all the CX stuff is not actually a CX problem, right? We just expect that everything else is going to work so swimmingly together, and we don't think about what's inside the house, right? And so when you think of poor call quality, you have to look at things like network design. You have to look at from a security standpoint, is it all actually secure, right? And when we look at things like cloud routing, right, there are so many different things that affect this potential issue. All right, so I want you to think more holistically. I know, totally overused phrase, but think holistically, okay? CX is just the front door, but you have to look at the whole house, okay? So with that said, when you look at the whole environment and not just one silo, that opens up a multitude of opportunities, right? A multitude. So let me head actually into this next one, because some of you have seen it, maybe not, but if you haven't, this is the AI practice here at Telarus. Yes, it is formally built out so many different things to address across the world of artificial intelligence. You will notice, first thing, is that it is not segmented by technology type. It's actually segmented by what's achievable, okay, keyword achievable, at the AI layer. All right. And so when we look at kind of what's the most prominent, agentic conversational AI in the CX world, absolutely, right? Virtual agents, real-time agent assist, like I mentioned. Then there's this predictive analytics, right? Decision intelligence. We start working across the stack, but you'll notice that it's segmented very differently. It's segmented more like use case, right? From a security and risk component, like robot dogs is a real thing, folks, right? We were talking about dogs earlier. You don't have to dress these up in cold weather, all right? And then there's this kind of random like industry and domain specific stuff. So another thing you'll notice is that you'll come across all of these different AI, little kind of AI players coming out of the woodworks who are addressing very specific use cases in like very specific industries. And that's all that they do, but they do it extremely well, right? So point solutions making this kind of like it's not even a comeback. It's just like a, hey, appearance, here I am, ready to save the day. And all these different AI players are starting to address all of these different pieces all separately. And yeah, not all of them play in the channel. But guess what? If you have contacts, if you're starting to run into suppliers out there who you're like, Sam, we got to get them under Telarus. Please come to me directly, come to the team directly. We want to know, because you are out there having all these, the majority of customer conversations. Okay. So that said, everyone's like, cool, Sam. So what can I expect in the next 6 to 12 months after this sort of state of the union? Lots of really cool things. And here's what they are prioritizing. So number one, cost reduction through automation. By far, the quickest way to sell artificial intelligence, right? The next thing is productivity and retention. If anybody uses a GPT, right, whether that's a ChatGPT or a Claude, by the way, they have Claude Cowork now, really interesting. Perplexity, Copilot, you name it, right? That's also another great segue into having an AI conversation right here. Better customer intelligence. They want to know about customers before they get to them. I know that sounds wild and you're like, is that even a thing? It is. Trust me, right? If you've got a digital footprint, which by the way, you're all on this webinar, you all do at this point. So it is what it is. But if you've got a digital footprint, companies are looking to uncover that footprint, figure out what works well to sell you, and then replicate that formula across similar profiles as you, right? So customer intelligence, absolutely a thing. Don't forget security. I would get in trouble if I didn't mention this, but let's be realistic, okay? That security absolutely has to be a part of the conversation, because you do not want AI doing stuff that it should not be doing, right? There needs to be a way to audit, right? There needs to be a way to track everything. Pull up any news article on AI, and it's probably around the security discussion, right? There are literally, I think there's a website, I forgot the name of it, but it's quite literally where you can look up which states have incorporated laws around the use of artificial intelligence, right, within their confines. So this is absolutely a critical piece of the puzzle, is talking about the security component. How are people monitoring, auditing all of the AI usage? By the way, yes, suppliers are in the portfolio for these. And the last thing, don't forget, integrations are still absolutely a thing. And that's why I say don't sell in a silo, folks. Again, your front door can look amazing, but once you open it and go inside, right? It's like that white picket fence effect. It all looks great, but then when you look under the hood, you're like, oh, right? And so always a great idea to make sure that everything is working swimmingly on the back end, so that that front door can look all nice, shiny, new, and inviting for people to walk through. All right. So you, as a tech advisor, you are going to have to change. And whether or not you want to change, this is how your role now expects to be looked at by customers today if you want to continue to grow your business. All right. So your role before, quite possibly, and if you've moved on to the new advantage, awesome. Right. But previously, I think on this side, we've been known kind of as the quote gatherer. We like to match products to scenarios right away, right? Almost too quickly. And we're kind of like another SKU on the page, right? Now, I highly encourage you to change that mindset and incorporate this perspective. You being now an outcome architect, help people figure out what outcomes they actually desire and how to get technology to help them reach those desired outcomes in the new year. By the way, that approach works with any persona. All right. A stack translator. This is big. Let me look at everything you've got under the hood. In other words, even behind that front door, right? And let's talk about what this all means to your overall technology strategy in the coming months. Number two, risk mitigator. Okay, that's really never going to go away, right? But consider from a security standpoint, yeah, absolutely. With things like artificial intelligence and what it can do now as we move quickly into, yes, AGI, right? Expect all the documentaries start coming out this year, folks, right? Can't wait. It's totally gonna like fill up my Netflix queue. But risk mitigation, 100%. And then last but certainly not least, revenue enabler. If people start using AI in the right way, this is why so many people in the revenue role are now so interested. Is how do I make my people more effective? How do I increase overall productivity? How is that going to translate into more qualified leads, more, let's say, lead conversions, right? And decrease things like churn, right? Because we all know that losing a customer is more expensive than gaining a new one, right? So with that said, here is your call to action. All right. Number one, lead with the outcomes. Okay. We do a whole training on outcome-based selling. We even now this year, sneak peek, are incorporating the MedPick methodology. And it's really important to start incorporating those different types. So I highly encourage you to start signing up for our sales mastery stuff. We've got a lot coming down the pike as far as going in and having the conversations around outcome-based selling, all that good stuff. Also map AI across the stack. Really get to know which suppliers are allowing customers to leverage AI within the technology stack. And you can do that through any Telarus resource, right? You've got the amazing three on here. You've got Meagan, Brent, Mikey B, right? On this call alone in just the CX world, but that does not expand across the stack, right? So make sure you're getting to know who the cloud suppliers are in cybersecurity, advanced networking. Get to know the different AI use cases across all those, because that way you can get past the front door conversation and start talking about what customers are doing behind the front door. All right. The next thing, explore your resources. So kind of going back to leading with outcome-based selling and MedPick methodologies, we are rolling out so many exciting things right now regarding workshops, regarding events. Events look dramatically different this year, folks. All of my events have workshops in them. So you will be expected to actually like do work when you come. You won't have time to send emails, right? You won't have time to take calls between the presentations and the workshops. So come to those. And then I've also spun up an AI resource page. Thank you, marketing team, where you can access things like the AI pitch deck that we've created for you that is fully brandable, as well as an AI readiness assessment that you can use as a guide when having discovery calls or conversations with your customers to see if, well, they're actually ready, right? And based on where they fall, what's the next step to take with them? Do they require more education? Do we actually bring in a firm to do a formal readiness assessment across multiple departments, right? Or like, are they ready for a pilot? Great, let's talk about what the pilot looks like and how you scale that across the organization effectively, right? So by all means, engage the team. Don't worry, we will pop all of the links into a follow-up for you as far as the pitch deck goes. If you want, by the way, if you want to view the recording of the pitch deck, I actually did it on the last hit call, which was last month when we released it. So I quite literally go through every single slide as if I were talking to a customer. So feel free to review that and we go from there. But the team is here to help. All right, folks. So hopefully this kind of gave you an idea of what things look like all across last year, what our findings were, what the opportunity looks like for this year, and we all get you selling more across the stack and linking it together with that horizontal sale. In other words, artificial intelligence. So I'm really, really excited for what's to come this year. Cass, that is all I had.
You have so much, Sam. You really know how to pack in a lot of information into a very short amount of time. I'm sitting here with whiplash.
I love it. That's
yeah. I mean, not only did you crush it, but thank you again. And for some of the questions I did see in the chat, I can also speak to this too. Sam has created a plethora of materials for you to succeed in AI. I've probably dropped the link now twice. But what I'm dropping, if you haven't been there yet, again, it is the TelarisUniversity.com, but it's all of our marketing resources, all dedicated to AI. That's registering for Sam's upcoming webinars. That is the AI Essentials course in Telarus University, which if you have not taken and you're new, very important that you go in and look at the materials that we have available to you. Also, conversational AI, the Why AI Now pitch deck, all of it is in that one specific link. So if you haven't bookmarked it yet, please do so. I know I'll sound like a broken record at this point, but yes. And I'll even drop it again in case, because the chat blew up really fast. Just one more time in case you missed it the first time, it'll be there. But thank you so much. This is really the time where we transition into Q&A. What you guys did was fantastic. The entire team was really on top of it. If you do have any questions right now, please drop them in the chat for Sam and for the rest of the team. Hopefully, Sam, you get to answer them before Mikey B does because he was on top of it. We do have a lot here. And in case you guys haven't seen it, definitely make sure that you go to the forums tab in Telarus University. You can see all of our past Tuesday calls. Very important that you have it in here. I do have one thing for you, Sam. I'll ask this question personally, just because I did see we have some new folks in there. You said that they can just reach out to your team at any time. Is there anyone else that they should also be reaching out to as well to get any answers to these questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have different contacts, between partners or between advisors and Telarus folks, right? So whether that is your partner development manager in your region, whether that is your regional SE on the SE team, folks, like we're all here ready to have the conversation. There's always someone at the ready, right, to take that on. So whether or not they can answer it or I can answer it, right, we'll just make sure that you get all the answers you need with regard to AI because it is kind of a daunting topic. So while I, of course, encourage you to reach out directly to us, like Meagan, Brent, Mike B, by all means, engage any and all your resources and we'll point you in the right direction. We will also obviously make sure that we put you in touch with the right suppliers based on who's appropriate for the conversation with clients.
Wonderful. There is a few questions in chat. As for who do we contact from the UK, I'm going to take your name, Lauren, just to make sure that we can reach out to you personally to see who your personal contact is. I'm not there, so I don't know personally, but we can definitely find out to make sure that you're being taken care of for sure. I see that we had someone else again has already answered another question, so fantastic. Thank you, guys. Is there anything else the rest of the team would like to add to the conversation before we end for the day?
Yeah, let me do this. Hey, Chandler, can you unpin me? I'm just like tired of seeing my face. No, I'm kidding. And then maybe Meagan, Brent, come on camera. Because what I'd love to do is for this group to hear directly from you as far as maybe what to expect this year and what does success look like for tech advisors in the new year. What would make them successful in selling more CX as well as selling more maybe AI? Meagan, I will go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Sam, about the outcomes, right? Don't be afraid to ask your prospects and your existing customers, what are you trying to do? What are you looking for? Because we get asked all the time, hey, we need AI for this company. Well, what does that mean, right? It's such a broad question. And so we just have to dig deeper. So just have those conversations with your customers to figure out what exactly they're trying to accomplish and bring it to us, and we'll help you solve that. Like Crystal mentioned, great point, Mike. You have Crystal talk to you because we don't know. There's so many players in the space. We don't have the vendors that are just specific to one vertical market. We might have a couple that specialize in just healthcare, but what is it that your customer is looking to do, right? Because we can bring in so many different options. And again, to your point, a lot of the AI that we're seeing in demand, of course, is the auto QA, auto summarization. Everything's automated. The voice AI agent is still a hot topic. So just let us help you figure out what it is your customer's looking to accomplish. And the trickier thing is going to be AI behind the scenes. I always say it's the intangibles, right? It's the workflow automation that's a little bit more complex to have a conversation about. But again, we're seeing a lot of demands for that. We can help you with that conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Meagan. How about you, Brent?
Well, good morning. I figured out how to get on stage instead of stay backstage. So sorry about that.
You reached the front door. Congratulations.
I'm an old man. It took me a while to find it. No, fantastic presentation. I think the main hurdle to companies adopting AI is the ROI conversation. AI is the most advanced technology that the channel and trusted advisors have ever had access to, but it is no different than every other leap that technology takes every 10 to 20 years, right? Personal computers, the internet, cell phones, these are all amazing things, but they didn't jump off the page and people didn't buy them in mass because they didn't know what they meant to them. And AI is no different. Everyone wants it. We know it can apply to various levels of the contact center and across the spectrum between security and other areas. But until customers understand what goals AI have, what are the goals for AI? What are we trying to solve for? Is your data ready? Right, that bottom bread of the sandwich is super important. We have to have understandable, definable goals. How do we measure the impact of those goals if we put AI in there? And what is the tangible ROI that we can present up to a non-technical decision maker? CFOs are not going to go spend $30,000, $40,000 a month on AI just because it sounds cool. They have to know what that means to the business as far as productivity and cost savings and customer enhancement.
Yeah. No, really good call there, Brent. And I think that there's so much more noise than ever before. Something new for folks who are still on with us is OpenAI has officially opened up their marketplace, right? And so very similar to like the iPhone, right, where they open up the marketplace and now people can come in and actually create applications. Guys, it's just going to get way more messy. And so, you heard it directly from Meagan and Brent, is like, let's get in front of the customers. Let's work through the noise and actually figure out kind of tangible ROI. And guess what? Suppliers are also coming across the same situations. So many of them do have the resources to put in front of customers saying, hey, here's exactly how the solution will impact, right, your bottom line. So great insights, guys. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up, Cass. But this has been a great session. Thank you for hosting.